Hi, everyone, and welcome to the podcast.
Here comes the
The
podcast.
podcast. It's Final
Hello
Fantasy
there.
this time around. I guess we'll talk about. Just quickly address that first. I actively told Tuner that this time around we're gonna be talking about like the Genshin podcast and like the Genshin community and like stuff about Genshin and why we and like our thoughts on it. So we aren't doing the podcast in Genshin this time around. I actively told Tuner he should do it in some kind of Final Fantasy thing he can do passively in the background because for those who don't know, Tuner has been primarily a Final Fantasy was it 14? 15?
Be 14, yeah.
Final Fantasy 14 streamer for like the past while, and I figure more exposure to that for any of y'all on YouTube who are interested in Final Fantasy streams is a good thing. But yeah, so this was my idea. Don't be mad at Tuner.
It wasn't my fault.
It wasn't my fault. Jig said I should do it. All right, so
And also, if I look like I don't know where I'm going, it's because I'm doing something suggested to me by the stream, and I actually don't know where I'm going, so I'm just wandering around at this point.
yeah, something called Fates. I don't know. I don't do Final Fantasy 14. I don't play MMOs, so I don't fucking know what this is. But
It's like, I know where fates are, I just don't know where the fates are in this area.
yeah, so shrug. But either way, a thing that you can do passively for background entertainment while we talk about the Genshin community and all the fantastic shitstorm that's happened in the past like a week.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess I think I would assume most people are aware of the anniversary thing that happened. Genshin Anniversary Rewards. I'm not even 100% sure how bad it is. I've heard it was like 40 primos and the opportunity to win a welcome pass if you drew art for Mihoyo.
It was like what's it? It was like 40 primos, I think a guaranteed 30k Mora, and like it was like a 60 or 70% chance for a welcome pass or something. It was like not 100% chance, is what I know, for like a welcome pass. I don't remember the exact figure.
Right.
Which is $5. So
Yeah.
and then some art competition shit and like other stuff, and just very, very, very low rewards, like in monetary value being a big part of it, but also just kind of the signal of disrespect to the community that they took it as.
You ever okay, so we were talking about this a while ago. I don't know if we ever mentioned on my stream, but like it reminded me of the way where when you go to a restaurant and you don't leave a tip, the server might think, okay, well, they just forgot to tip or they don't tip or whatever. But if you tip
Yeah.
1 cent, it sends a very clear message that I remembered to tip. You just didn't deserve anything.
Yeah, or I didn't think you deserved anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it feels like,
Yeah.
where it's just this huge slap in the face where they could have done anything, but they chose to do this.
Yeah, exactly. They could have done
And-
anything. They could have I mean, hell, even for like events, they've given us like free 4-star units or something like that.
Right, yeah, like even
Like-
free 4-star units are on the table for this
Yeah.
company. That's a thing
Like,
that they've
I know
done.
Envy was like memeing on Twitter when I was scrolling through Twitter on the bathroom at work before, and saw that like Envy was like, "Oh, my prediction for anniversary awards is pick which 5-star character and weapon you want." I'm like, okay, that's a meme, but like,
Pick any 4-star would have been an awesome reward, actually.
pick any 4-star would have been like a legit like easy reward for them to do that already has precedence in it happening in their like festival events previously.
Yeah. Just like any 4-stars on the table, you can pick any character you want, and that'd have been sick.
Yeah, that would have been nice and not too much of a monetary cost for them. And like,
Well, okay, it wouldn't have been
honestly,
any monetary cost to them because they own the character and they own the data and they can freely give.
Well,
as
that's
they-
not
as they-
true. That's not true. I mean, there's a difference between some things like absolute value, or like some things like absolute value to someone, and the opportunity cost of it. The opportunity cost of them giving us anything is still that we don't have to spend as much money in the game, right?
Fair.
Like that's and like opportunity cost is the more realistic way to look at it. But
Right.
I mean, I get what you mean.
Right. There's no
But yeah.
upfront cost for them.
Yeah,
to do
that's
it.
no upfront cost. Like, but like, you know, that it does mean that they lose opportunity cost in like the person no longer necessarily wanting to pull on
Mr.
a banner for it.
Streamers, they would have to program the user interface for a free character giveaway, which means that they'd have to pay somebody to program it, which means they have upfront cost.
Means they have. I mean, yeah, labor hours are always gonna be a thing, but yeah. Anyway, point is, it's a low cost thing, but like, it's low cost thing, and it has a lot more. It probably would have a lot more perceived value from the community than giving us like 10, 20, 30 free polls or whatever.
Oh yeah,
right?
no, I would rather have a pick my own 4-star than
like 40 primos
yeah.
or something.
Well, no, I was thinking like I'd rather have pick
40 polls. I mean,
yeah, 40 polls. Yeah, I'd rather have pick my own 4-star than 40 polls.
Yeah, exactly, and a lot of people will probably agree with you. Yeah, and 40 polls is still a lot. I mean, even now they're only giving us like 10.
Yeah,
but like,
well, maybe 30 polls because like theoretically, well, because you still have like the chance to not get one of the banner 4 stars. But yeah, either way, I would definitely pick my own 4-star over a significant amount of polls.
Yeah, either way, like the point is like it probably is just a well-known fact at this point by anyone who is participating in the community that people are very angry about the anniversary rewards.
Right.
And we're very angry.
Right. And
justifiably so, but
and something that happened afterwards, some people are aware of it, some people aren't. As I was saying, most people are aware of their anniversary rewards. Some people might not be aware that like the internet pretty much took to not only Genshin, but like pretty much every popular game on the App Store and just review bombed it.
Yeah, so what happened first was Genshin itself got review bombed, right? So first off, Genshin itself got review bombed, and then like I think it was like maybe a day or two later after the Genshin review bombing, or maybe like later the same day, some people started like review bombing other MiHoYo products, and like
Honkai
and the other game they have, and then some even bled out into other places like Clash of Clans and FGO and like all these, and like there's a list of like 10 or 12 games that people kind of went over to and review bombed those games. And like, I mean, it wasn't like, and from the articles I read on it, and it seemed like every article was kind of referring back to one original article, so they all kind of said the same thing. But basically they were saying that not necessarily all of them were negative reviews, some were like 5-star reviews comparing them to Genshin.
Right. Well, and something I've been trying to figure
out.
Something I've been trying to figure out is if they were all from the same group of people, like people who were unhappy with MiHoYo, so then they decided to suddenly review bomb everything else, or if it was the initial wave against MiHoYo, people who were upset with MiHoYo, so they review bombed Genshin and then Honkai, and then the people who didn't care or still liked MiHoYo, despite all of that, counter bombed everything else.
Yeah, and so like that's the thing is that I have heard from you and other people in the community rumor-wise that like that the people who review bombed other games were like Genshin I guess MiHoYo loyalists, you could say.
Right, and that's
but
kind
the
of
thing
what
is, I couldn't find any indication of that, at least in like Google researching articles about it. I didn't see any reporting about that specifically. All the reporting I said just simply said that Genshin fan base review bombs other ones. So like, I mean, it's one of those. Like,
I mean, that's technically a true statement either way.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I have to be agnostic about it. Of like, I can't say it's one way or the other because I haven't been able to, at least personally, in my like 2-3 hours of research on it, like all various things related to all of this, I haven't been able to find any indication one way or the other, any reporting about it. I certainly haven't like crawled through like Reddit or NGO or anything like that, like looking for it. So you know, it's possible it's out there. I haven't seen it. That it's one way or the other. But
Right.
regardless, you know, I think Tuner and I can both agree review bombing other games because you're pissed off at a game is incredibly unacceptable.
The another thing that I kind of was questioning, that was also really unacceptable, that I personally find more unacceptable than any of this, is Kokomi is
Oh yeah, no, that
understood
was
to be
fucking
understood to be bad, right? Like Kokomi's just not really that good. She's not worth your money, you know, whatever.
Yeah. Like if we were to like I don't even know if we'll get to or wants to talk about like Kokomi's power level like we normally would for a new character or whatnot, but I was thinking that in the toilet earlier before we started this that like Kokomi's legitimately the first time I'd probably be like, hey guys, I think she's actually a bit better than everyone says she is.
Yeah.
Because she does her job. Like she does her job well. The problem is her job isn't useful.
Yeah.
She, you know, she's a decent Hydro enabler, and that sacrifices the damage potential of every other Hydro enabler in the game for healing. It's just who gives a fuck about having more healing,
Right.
Like, who cares about having that larger degree of healing? So
Would it be fair to say it's like a Chi-Chi situation where it's just you don't need that much healing?
it's a Chi-Chi situation if Chi-Chi also actually had utility. Like, she's not Chi-Chi bad, and she is an improvement over Barbara. It's just that, like, an improvement, who do you care about getting an improvement over Barbara?
Right.
Like, it's not like Yoimiya, right? Where Yoimiya was flat out weaker than the free 4-star Pyro, you know, DPS we get Zhangling.
Right.
Like, she is a blanket improvement over any free-to-play option. She provides less damage to the team than any Hydro option in the teams that you would like swap her out for. Like less damage than Mona, Child, or Jingqiu, right? Less Hydro enabling than any of them except for Mona. But she trades that for healing, and she does that well. It's just that her job and her role, like 1010's video does a good job of explaining this, her job and her role just isn't that useful in Genshin. Healing isn't that useful in Genshin.
Yeah.
Like, you generally want at least a healer on each team, but you don't need, like, the best healer on each team. You need enough.
Yeah.
And every other healer in the game is, generally speaking, enough if you have their, like, healing stat invested enough.
Yeah. You know, and even things like Xingqiu in a freeze team, you know, as long as you're
not doing floor 11 with him, but
okay, well, there you go.
But yeah.
Yeah, well, and you know, that's something else I've been, you know, talking about with as far as like MiHoYo, and obviously they're going to do this, but it's still frustrating where it's like, hey, here's a new mechanic that's in the Abyss. It's really tough. Guess how you solve it? The new character. You know?
Yeah.
So
Which
that's
doesn't
annoying.
surprise me. What surprises me more, like, it doesn't surprise me that they're gonna like create a problem for a new character to solve. That's just smart business.
Yeah, that's smart business.
Honestly, the thing in the past that's confused me is when they did the opposite, like when Albedo launched and floor 12 countered, and floor 12's Geoshields countered him.
Yeah, true.
Like, that confused the shit out of me when that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, blah blah, Kokomi, not really worth a poll.
Oh,
but
right.
if you like her, she's not bad.
Right.
It's just she's not a bad character. Okay. I think she is a bad character, but she's not as bad as people think. And the thing is, she actually does do her job properly. It's just her job isn't useful.
Right. But the main point being, people harassed Kokomi's voice actress.
Yes.
On stream, to the point that she had to close her stream down because
she had to sub only her chat, restrict her chat, and then she had to close it down.
Yeah.
Like, there were stages of it, but yeah.
And that's
entirely unacceptable.
There's no possible way that's acceptable. There's like, I don't know how. I mean, just the mental
VAs have nothing to do with the character design.
Well, just the mental weakness being I don't know how to describe it. There aren't words in the English language that describe people who would do something like this. I mean, not only are you being an arrogant asshole thinking that, you know, you can go and harass somebody for that kind of thing, but you also don't have the mental insight to realize that the voice actor has nothing to do with the character's design. I mean, you're really just that stupid. I don't have nice words to say for that. I know usually we're pretty, kind people, but really, if you harassed Kokomi's voice actress over the design decisions of MiHoYo, a company in a continent the other side of the world, you're just fucking stupid. That's really all there is.
It does remind me a bit of like to briefly touch on a real world political example of like people getting pissed at historically any presidents when they try to talk about like tax law reforms without realizing that checks and balances, the Senate is like Congress is who decides tax law reforms.
Yeah.
The president doesn't actually have any power over that kind of thing. Like they can, they have the politics, they can try to influence Congress and all that stuff, but they don't have any direct ability to change anything related to that.
Right.
And it's a similar thing where the VAs have literally nothing to do with the character design. Like, they have nothing to do with the balancing, they have nothing to do with the ability design, they have nothing to do with any of that. Their job is to go into a voice booth, say lines, and keep saying lines until the voice director's like, yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
And then do more of that. They have nothing else to do with it.
And that even takes me back further into things where people have complained how a voice might suck. It's like, keep in mind that, like, at the end of the day, the person who decides to ship the voice is the voice director. If a voice actor sucks in their role, or like an actor sucks in their role, like, a la the prequel Star Wars trilogy. At the end of the day, that was the director who said, yeah, that performance works for me. Let's go for that.
That's good enough. We'll roll with that.
Like it is ultimately the voice director who is in charge of whether something ships or not, or if something gets redone or not, or, whatever.
Which is why, like, I fucking hate, like, personally, I fucking hate the English, like, voice for Klee. I have zero against the voice actress, because that was not her fault.
Yeah. Yeah.
The voice director is the one who said, oh, yeah, no, that grown woman baby talk you're doing right now, that's perfect. Do that for every line.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, that wasn't her creative decision. She's just the one who provided the voice.
Yeah. And
so, yeah.
But either way, like, just harassing voice actors over, frankly, anything in the role. Because I don't know, this goes back to, there was a character in a game from a new game called Boyfriend Dungeon. Now, I'm not going to say Octopimp and I are friends, but, we've talked and had plans to meet up
acquaintances.
And had the plans to meet up at TwitchCon because we have somebody in our community, both of our community, who's a big fan, big supporter, financially even. So he was like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we got together, got a picture, and sent it to this guy as like a thank you for being such an amazing part of both of our communities. And he was like, yeah, let's do it. And he got harassed over his role in the game Boyfriend Dungeon because this character was like a stalker and like I don't know, just not a good person. And he got harassed over his portrayal of this person because he shouldn't have played the character because he knew the character was going to be so bad.
Which is
so I guess we
ludicrous.
just can't voice villains.
Yeah, I guess we just can't have villains with voices anymore.
It's just
I guess the concept of art being able to explore villainy and the dark side of humanity just shouldn't be a thing.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, I guess this goes farther away from the main point of the Genshin community. But just communities in general need to do better, I think. But
yeah. Now, a thing I do want to talk about with this stuff, right, is like, because I think this might be where your and I's opinion might diverge a bit on it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Which is that, like, from at least what I've been able to gather from what's happened, and I haven't looked into it in like a day or two, so maybe there's some new information. But from what I've been able to gather, like,
you know what? Oh, side note, you know what I love about you?
Sure.
That you're willing to admit, I haven't looked into it in an entire day. It's possible some things have changed. Where other people would be like I looked into something last week and here's my opinion about it. It's never changing.
Yeah. No, actually, it reminds me of a YouTube comment on the video, like, I just put out. about my Gone UC Zero Duos run, where
Yeah.
I just tried to match like the parameters of a free-to-play run that inspired it,
Yeah.
and someone was like, what was it? I'm trying to pull up the specific comment, but I'm not sure if I can find it in time. Yeah, I can't find a specific comment in time, but basically, it was something like, hey guys, I did this. Hey guys, I'm not free to play, but I did this challenge that has more constraints than a normal free to play run, but it's not actually free to play. And I did do the math between this and an actual free to play run, but it's up to you whether it's free to play. And they just said, Jinx, I love you, never change.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was something along those lines. Oh wait, I just found it. Yeah. Am I technically free to play on this arbitrary challenge that is harsher than regular free to play conditions? I fully mathed an actual free to play player myself, so you can determine that on your own. I love this. Never change, Jinx. Yeah, thank you, Junjun, for that comment on the video. But yeah, I mean, it's like, anyway, I haven't looked into it in like a day, maybe a day and a half or something at this point, so who knows if there's more information. But as far as I can tell, the review bombing of Genshin itself was like definitely like a pretty large community movement. I mean, obviously there were a fuckload of bots involved because that's how review bombs happen.
Yeah.
But there was definitely a lot of people being a lot of like just in general a large chunk of the community review bombing. There were a lot of I was even like kind of scrolling through at various times looking through reviews, and there were a lot of people giving legitimate reviews who had said their reviews had been deleted, probably as like part of their like massive rapid attempt to remove bot reviews.
Right.
And even claims of like, censorship and censorship from MiHoYo on that because of that.
Right.
And I don't know, that's a hard thing to say whether it's intentional censorship or not, considering how, when you get over a million negative views, and a lot of those are probably bots spammed at the same time, who fucking knows how it's a situation they have to respond really quickly to, so shrug.
Yeah.
But that was like that is like the one case in all of this that you definitely can't say it's like, bad apples or like trying to represent a community with like the actions of a small chunk of it.
Mhm.
The other parts, as far as I can tell, it's hard to say whether it is or not, but at least I'm of the opinion that the harassing Kokomi's VA, especially like the review bombing of other games and whatnot, definitely strikes me as like a bad apple sort of situation. Of a smaller chunk of the community just being very vocal and doing something really, really fucking stupid.
Mhm.
And those are the parts that to me are unacceptable. I mean, bot review bombing in general, I think is unacceptable, but like MiHoYo is gonna remove those anyway. It's gonna be a temporary thing.
Right.
I don't think it's necessarily a problem for like a large group of people who are genuinely upset at the developers and the game to negatively review a game, though. That's
Mhm.
why reviews exist. So I don't think that's a problem necessarily of people like actually being pissed off and negatively reviewing it. But all the other stuff I do think is completely unacceptable, but I'm also not convinced it's not a bad apple situation, I guess. And I hesitate to try to represent the entire community off of the actions of what it potentially may be a few.
Yeah.
Personally, I mean, the fact that it happened at all does definitely say things about at least the like extremes of this community.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, yes, with it being a very large community, there's gonna be a much higher chance of there being some like small groups of shitty people in it.
Mhm.
But like, even like League of Legends, which is famous for its toxic community and is, as far as I can tell, probably a larger community numbers-wise than Genshin is.
Yeah.
I haven't looked into numbers, but I would assume it is.
Yeah.
Hasn't done something like this.
Yeah. I mean,
Like,
as far as I know.
the League community hasn't, as far as I know, the League community hasn't gone and like review bombed another game, or anything like that, or like as far as I'm aware. But like that is incredibly unacceptable. I just also don't want to personally judge the entire Genshin community based off of the actions of what is potentially just a few really, really, really rotten apples.
Well, my problem is like, this isn't the first. This isn't our first time at the rodeo, cowboy.
I mean, fair.
We've seen this community pretty consistently just not do good things, whether it be to us or other people or, whatever. And I don't know. I
Yeah,
I
but a
just
lot of that stuff
wonder
to
how
me has been
long we
like, I
want
don't
to
know,
be a
it
part of
still
it.
feels part of the course. Like, with any large, more casual gaming audience like this, I feel like it's kind of part of the course.
Mm-hmm.
Like any of the drama stuff we've been a part of, that kind of shit happens all the time in other games too, with bigger people.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, we had a
Yeah.
stance of like, you gotta, well, not you gotta, but like, here's a suggestion on how to play the game. And then we have people who don't want to play the game like that, who think that what we're saying is,
Well, and like the core issue too is like the key word in like the descriptor I gave of the Genshin community earlier is casual. Because Genshin is a game focused on casual play, right? Like, it is focused on casual play. It's not a competitive game. It's not a PvP game. It's not a game where, people get access to the same shit. So when someone is topping numbers, you know that they are topping numbers because they know what they're fucking doing, right?
Right.
Like that's why, like, even though I compared them to the League of Legends community earlier, the League of Legends community, like,
Has parity.
It has parity because if someone isn't challenger, a person who's challenger probably knows more than they do.
Yeah, and my actual
You
favorite
get
example of that right
credentials.
now is Tyler 1, just as a slight divot into League of Legends, just hit challenger on 4 roles. And he's going to go on to support soon. But do you know who he got challenger mainly on for mid?
Who?
Annie.
That makes sense.
Just a 450 champion that anybody could get. Just with a,
and that
with
makes
a,
sense.
with an
Just
understanding
understanding
of the game.
incredibly simple combos, incredibly simple character, just focusing on every other aspect of the game.
You know who he main top? Cho'Gath.
Really? Cho, that's interesting.
Yeah. So like, you don't need these huge 6,300, 7,200 champions, these 200 years champions. You can just take whatever and throw it in there.
As long as they actually are strong enough to make an impact. Yeah. Like, at least, like, a B8 tier sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, no, you have to be an actual god to hit challenger as a Rise main in his current state. But yeah. I mean, and yeah, absolutely. And like, I was actually watching some Excel videos last night, or listening to them rather, as kind of like a podcast sort of thing to listen to while I was off screen time. And he was talking about, one of the videos I was listening to was talking about how interviewing and talking with a lot of challenger players and like elo grinders and like people like that who, are able to like kick themselves out of elo hell and consistently get to like challenger or whatever and whatnot. And like, there's apparently like one person like apparently made out a list of like 55 different factors that determine your skill in League of Legends. This was specifically on the topic of like why every challenger player says that character mastery doesn't matter. Like, the mastery score you have for a character doesn't matter, and it's because there are 55 different aspects of the game that you can like judge your skill in that are important, and the challenger player has to be a 9 out of 10 in every single one. And character skill expression is only one of those 55.
Yeah,
so just because
for like challenger players, it's less about what the character can, like how the character actually, what the physical text underneath each individual ability does, and it's more like, okay, my character has a stun. How do I apply this stun in the best possible way?
And
my
like,
character
even that
has
aside,
a displacement. How do I apply that displacement?
And like, that's character expression, right? Character skill expression, right? Is being like, hey, this character, I do this, like, they have to do this job. They can add the value in this way. How close can I get to hitting that? And you have like high skill characters like Akali, where like the pros can bring out that 90-100% of the potential she has, but a regular player is going to bring out like 20%. And you have characters like Annie, where like a decent player is probably hitting like 60-70% of like the correct like skill usage and whatnot that like a Tyler 1 challenger Annie could be, right? but because they're a simpler character. But that's still only one factor. That doesn't take into account your game sense, your objective control. That doesn't take into account your CSing, your wave control, your reading of the opponent's meta strategies, all that kind of stuff that are still important factors. So like even though Title 1's using an incredibly simple character on mid, because he has all of those other aspects down pat, he can still bring in Annie the challenger. Because Annie isn't like a super weak character like Rise, who literally has the worst win rate in the game right now.
We kind of went
That
on
was
the
another
League
video I was listening to about from Exold last night.
we kind of went on a
talking
League of
about
Legends
Rise.
tangent.
Yeah, sorry, we're on a League of Legends tangent. Anyway, point is that these kinds of games, like, you know, there'll be drama between like other challenger players and like Tyler 1, but at the very least, you know that the people who are fans of each side of it know this person knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
The problem, especially with a gacha game, is that whales get these fan bases that they may not actually genuinely understand the game's mechanics too well because of the number inflation they get from being whales, but they have these fan bases that agree with and defend them and believe that they are like the word of lore, even though they may not actually know what they're talking about.
Right.
And that can lead to a lot more stupid drama to happen, like the drama that we were forced into with the whole Zhongli release debacle, where basically everyone who understood the game mechanics very well and understood like what was needed to clear the abyss for normal free-to-play, low-to-play spenders or whatnot, people who can't just buy stats, right, with like 5-star weapons and whatnot, was needed, understood that he did not release in a very strong state.
Yeah.
Even, like, unlike Kokomi, who does do the job she is supposed to do well, Zhongli didn't. His shield wasn't really good enough to justify his use without multiple constellations and a Staff of Homa. Like, he wasn't that... Oh, not Staff of... Wait. Did Staff of Homa come out with Zhongli? I don't remember.
No.
Anyway, point is... No, that was... Yeah, sorry. The fucking...
I'm pretty sure Jade
shield
Spear came out with him or something.
It was the shield spear. The...
Oh, right.
the
attack percentage one?
Yeah. Attack percentage, shield strength one, yeah. But regardless, like, Zhongli didn't really do his job well, especially his ult wasn't... Yeah, that's it. Vortex Vanquisher. His ult wasn't really that good without the constellation that increases Petrify time, which was a thing that whales just didn't really account for. And his shield just wasn't really that good, even with a full HP build. Unless you had insane investment and also had C3 for increased shield strength and whatnot. Like, he numerically released weak, and that was his problem. Like, that's why he needed to get buffed.
Yeah.
But, you know...
And then people blamed us for the buff. Like, okay, yeah, because weird, MiHoYo listed the jack shit.
Because we're big enough for MiHoYo to give a fuck about that. But, like, that drama happened, right? And, like, that's the kind of thing you don't really see that kind of, like, knowledge disparity in that kind of drama, I guess, in, like, competitive games. Because, you know, like, that's why, like, we couldn't make, like, guide content for League of Legends, because neither of us are at least, you know, diamonds, if not masters or challenger, right? Like,
yeah, I feel like you should at least... I mean, unless you're making, like, joke guides, like, Skies...
should at least be diamonds.
5 reasons why your jungler hates you, or,
or
you know, Dark Main's how to play AP Ezreal mid, you know, it's like...
Yeah, or, the super casual style guides that, like, the actual Champion Spotlights Magic Up Use Fly put out back in the day, sort of thing. Like, there is certain kind of content you can do, but, like, we can't do the kind of content we do on Monster Hunter and on the Genshin in, like, League of Legends or Rainbow Six Siege or Valorant or anything like that, because we don't have the credentials to be taken seriously.
Not gonna stop you from trying to do Apex Legends.
Yeah, I want that. I mean, that attempt to do, like, a single character guy in Apex Legends was a lot of what made me realize, oh yeah, that's right, like, this isn't going to work. This doesn't work because I don't have these credentials, right?
Yeah. Well, what was the first thing I told you? What was the first thing I told you when I helped you start the channel? Why should anybody listen to you?
Yeah. And, like, that's why we were able to build a channel, is because why should people listen to you? Because I got a world record against KT.
Yeah.
It was for 22 hours, but I got a world record against KT. In fact, I'm kind of sad I didn't do the kind of challenge runs that I did for this most recent video and the next one I'm posting out, because they kind of give me credentials. Like, this last one was a bit iffier for sure. Still using an Amos bow. I'm still using a 5-star character. Spoiler warning. The next video I'm putting out is me literally clearing the Abyss 12 9 stars with 2 characters on each side, 4-star weapons only, 4-star characters only. It's a 4-4-4 challenge. And this was also before this most recent Abyss
It was a 4-4-4 challenge before?
Before this new Abyss, blessing happened. Because for those who don't know, this new Abyss blessing is actually broken. Like, the one they released yesterday is actually broken. It gives, if you use it correctly, it gives you up to 8,000 extra AoE DPS. Like, it's actually busted. So like now, if I were to do a 4-4-4 challenge, I'd probably beat my times on each floor by like 30+ seconds. Because this new Abyss is broken. But I did do that challenge before the thing switched over, and I'm literally clearing each chamber rather. I'm clearing each chamber with like 1 to 3 seconds left. But that kind of thing would have given me more credentials of people being like, oh, look, Jinx knows what he's fucking talking about.
Yeah. They said they liked it.
They did, and like I said, the next one's a lot more impressive because like you can't make the argument of I'm using 5-star characters or 5-star weapons. Like,
yeah, I saw a couple comments that were like that.
Yeah, I mean it's fair. That's why like in the video I was like, I put free to play question mark because I did my best to replicate a free to play play's parameters. And in fact, my teams were numerically a bit weaker than theirs. But
Here, while you talk about that, I'll be right back.
But yeah, like this kind of community just doesn't have that same kind of thing. So like, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying all whales are like this. There are definitely whales who know what the fuck they're doing, right? Like, there are whales who understand how the game works well. They understand the math. They understand proper team compositions. The speed, especially like speedrunners, like, C6, R5 whales who speedrun understand the game very, very well. But the problem is that there are a lot of people who can kind of buy their way into being a voice in the community who just genuinely don't have a lot of game knowledge, at least advanced game knowledge on a lot of these things, how to optimize teams properly, of how to maximize your damage for your team, of how to clear the abyss when you are actually a free-to-play player or when you are a low-to-play player, and which characters to pull for that will actually enable you to do that kind of thing. Yeah, so like that's gonna lead to a lot more stupid drama that you don't see in these competitive games. Like, anyone who can make it to Challenger in League of Legends knows their shit. There is a limit to how far pure raw mechanical skill can get you. There's too many factors in like a League of Legends games that you need to know about, like meta strategy, about like jungle timers, about wave management, about CSing properly, about proper trades in lane, about proper team fighting priorities based on teams, about proper counter building, just all this shit you have to know to be able to be Challenger in League of Legends. And like, raw mechanical aim can only take you so far in games like Overwatch and Rainbow Six Siege and Valorant. Like, you still have to understand the game very well to reach that top level. But yeah, still just waiting for Tuner to come back at this point, since I think he went to go pee. Let me go look at some of the comments real quick. 250% power against Geo in a game with like 2 sucrose of Geo damage at the time. Lol. Yeah. Oh, 2 sources of Geo damage at the time. Lol. TBH, a few champions have rise issues where they can't touch them because of pro play. And yeah, I understand that. Like, I completely understand that's why he has such a low win rate, but regardless, he's very weak.
All right, I'm back.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool.
Sorry.
But yeah, I was just reading out some comments. It's fine. But basically what I was just saying is that, like, you can't get to Challenger in League of Legends without knowing your shit, because there's a limit to how far like raw mechanical skill and talent can take you. You can't get to Radiant in Valorant without understanding the game well, because there's a limit to how far raw mechanical aim can get you. You cannot get to GM in Overwatch without understanding the game well, because there's a limit to how far your raw aim can get you.
Right.
Etc., 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 right? All this, like Rainbow Six Siege, name competitive game, it's this way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, like in Genshin, we just have the problem that like there are definitely whales who understand what they're doing, especially the speedrunners. Like they clearly understand how to optimize damage well. They understand team comps well. They understand proper builds well. They understand rotations very, very well, and how to combo properly and all that kind of shit. But there's a lot of people who just buy their way into having a voice in the community and just genuinely don't understand the advanced intricacies of the game that well.
Yeah.
And that leads to and like any more casual audience like that's gonna lead to more stupid drama because people who don't know what they're talking about are gonna be arguing with people who do.
Right.
And like that is unfortunately what has happened to us several times, is that we crunched the numbers, guys. We talked with, speedrunners who know how these things work and try to min-max the fastest possible times with like hyper Leviathan super whale accounts and everything. We've like done all of this research and we've determined that this character's power level is pretty low, and then the less skilled whales who so let's look at Zhongli for example. Less skilled whales who aren't good at dodging, but they have enough damage that they could solo 9-star each half with like one of their like C6 5-stars, right?
Right.
Suddenly a character comes out that does something that gives them defensive options they never had before. Okay, he's obviously broken.
Mm-hmm.
Ignoring the fact that most of the audience needs more damage and the team's not more survivability, but
right,
he's broken. Like, that's just the reality of, I don't think it's a Genshin specific thing. It's just the reality of doing this kind of content in any casual game at all. That's just gonna happen. It's just a par for the course kind of thing.
Yeah, and then you'll obviously get the people who was like, well, you say they're wrong, but look, they did it. So obviously they're right. They have you're all theoretical and their practical applications. Okay, well, that.
Which is why, like I said, I wish I had done these challenge runs earlier on, because someone tell me I don't understand like team comp building well when I can use 2 4-stars with 4-star weapons each half and clear Abyss 12 9-stars.
Yeah.
Someone tell me I don't understand the mechanics of the games, proper team comps, proper rotations, every aspect that is related to maximizing your damage while also not dying, when I can do something like that, right?
Right.
But shrug, it is what it is.
Now the but I guess main point, going back to we keep going on tangents.
Yeah, sorry, we keep going on tangents, but yeah.
And I guess it comes to the point that I wanted to talk to you about is it even worth playing Genshin anymore? Because I'm sure anybody who's watched me for a while in the past couple months for the streams knows, I basically quit playing Genshin. For all intents and purposes, I haven't locked on in a couple weeks. I even had like a Welkin Pass. I was trying to just do the Welkin Pass, just to do the Welkin Pass. I had like 14 days left or something. I basically just quit. And I've had people,
and like at the end of the day, this isn't my full-time income anymore, so I don't have like a job reason to keep making content or whatever for Genshin.
Right. And I've had to kind of struggle with this thing, it's like, well, it's my job to play Genshin, so maybe just buck up and play it. And it's like some people don't like their jobs, but they still need the money. And I kind of sat there and thought to myself a lot like you did. He's like, this isn't making me happy.
Yeah.
And it's not making me money either, because we both took a massive pay cut to do what we're doing right now, or what I'm currently doing. And so, what's the point? I can stay here and be unhappy and also be broke, or I could go back to work and maybe be unhappy but also have at least a little bit of money.
Yep. Unfortunately for me, I both became happier and also made a lot more money going back to work. But
and I just kind of was like, well, let's just death spiral. Let's see what we can do. Just go throw it. I'm just gonna cold turkey Genshin. I'm gonna play Final Fantasy, which is a game people have been wanting me to play for a while, and
you seem to have really been enjoying it.
Yeah, I have been enjoying it.
Yeah.
It's that's a whole separate. We can go on to that conversation in a minute, but and it's just. I mean, I just think about all the things that have happened in Genshin. The people harassing
Mm-hmm.
us, you specifically, about like what we do and that it's toxic to give people information on how to play and
Give them accurate, tested, calculated information instead of just your opinion because you spend a lot of money on the
yeah,
game.
people who fully admit that they don't care about the math, they've never cared about the math, they're just going to give you their opinion and screw the math, like, but and I've it felt so coerced. I
Yep.
didn't, I didn't necessarily even want to play Genshin just because of that initial thing where they had kernel level access to your computer's security for anti-cheat.
Yep.
And we had that discussion when Genshin first came out. I'm like, I'm not gonna play this game if
Yep.
that's a thing that's here. And you're like, it's fine. I'm like, no, it's really not fine. And then you're like, tuner, they fixed it. It doesn't have that anymore. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
well, we'll give it a shot.
I mean, I still personally don't care about kernel anti-cheat because, like, realistically, if you want anti-cheat to work well, you have to do kernel. There's a reason Overwatch has a huge cheating problem.
Yeah.
And Valorant's, launched with the Vanguard anti-cheat that's kernel level because it kind of has to be. And there are still cheating problems in Valorant, but they're not nearly as pronounced.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But then even going so far, just the drama after the drama, and then even so much as like even things that you've done recently,
By the way, Sentry 104, thanks for the sub. We didn't mention it at the beginning of the podcast, but because we're podcasting, we won't be acknowledging like the subs and donations and stuff until the end. But yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, they know.
We just didn't mention that earlier.
Sentry knows. Sentry
Okay.
Even something that you've done recently, where we loaded up Genshin, and I was like, you're battle pass level 5. What the heck is like? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've not
surprised.
really been playing that much. I don't really feel like I want to play, but that's a constant thing that happens all the time. If I'm like, if I run past a treasure chest where it's like, oh, there's a puzzle treasure chest, I don't really feel like doing it now. You'll get comments in the chat where it's like, oh, what a whale. Doesn't even care about the free treasure chest, the free primus from the treasure chest. Like, there's such a toxic back and forth mentality in the community. And I know a lot of people say, well, then just ignore the community. But that's the problem. I'm a streamer. People come to me. The community, I don't go to the community. The community comes to me.
Yep.
The people who come in and they've never subscribed before, subscribing, but like they don't follow. Their first message is, show me your character. And then that's it. And then like I'll show them my character and they'll say thanks and then leave. And then I will never see them again.
Yeah.
And how heartbreaking that is. And I just sit here and I'm like, why am I here? I have, for all intents and purposes, beaten the game. And we've already had this discussion where, it feels like I've beaten the game. I'm getting rewards for things that like I've already won. So yeah.
I mean, fuck, why do you think I did the challenge runs?
Yeah. Well, and then people are like, oh, I can't wait to see Tuner do this challenge. I'm like, my characters are even more stacked than his. Like,
Yep.
For all intents and purposes. I mean, at the very least, my Bennett's C6, yours isn't.
Yep.
And that's a huge damage increase. Well,
Yep.
Sizable,
yeah.
And it's just I've just been struggling to find a reason besides just money, and I don't really do things for money. I feel like doing things for money just is a way to lead to unhappiness to me.
Yeah, like I mean, like as we talked about, not sure how much we talked about it on stream, but we definitely talked about plenty off stream. Like, if you are able to, like, bare minimum pay bills and survive doing content like FF that you enjoy, I want you to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And like, we've had the real talk discussions before of being like, if ultimately if like, at least in my opinion, if ultimately your choice becomes between like, you either have, like, you can't pay bills doing streams you enjoy, and the only way to continue streaming and pay your bills is to do Genshin content that makes you miserable, and your other option is just to go back at work in logistics or FedEx or whatever, I think you should quit streaming, and I support you in that, and I'll still be your friend, and we'll still hang out and play games and stuff, even if you quit being a streamer and doing content creation, because I want you to be happy first and foremost.
Yeah. And that's the same for you. It's like I told you to do that. It's like, dude, if you can't,
even though me not making YouTube videos anymore was like a direct pay drop for you.
Yeah. That didn't matter to me, because like, what do I just want you to sit here and be miserable just to? No, that's not how it works.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I completely understand where you're coming from, and like, I definitely agree. Like, I definitely am of the opinion that I don't think you should play Genshin anymore.
Yeah.
Because you just don't enjoy it. And I'm glad you're doing FF streams. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad that there has been at least a partial conversion of the audience over and whatnot.
Yeah. It's about 50 to 70.
Yeah.
Now I will say, apparently, from what I've heard from like the community, that people tend to watch the story. It's ironic. It's the opposite of normal.
But not end
People
game.
will watch the story because the story is so good. People want to see their reaction to the story.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But then like post story, it's like, okay, well, I don't think anybody's. So it'll be interesting to see, because I beat Shadowbringers, the whole expansion.
Yeah.
In like 4 days, and then the intent today was to beat all of the patch content.
Yeah.
So 5 days, an entire expansion. That's pretty much what I've been doing. I beat 3 expansions in a month.
Yeah.
And it's been good, but like, what is it going to be like afterwards?
Right. What is the post game going to be like? Because it's not Monster Hunter where people love watching you hunt post game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get you. And like, for me personally, I still enjoy playing Genshin. I actually do enjoy hopping in, doing my commissions every day, maybe finding a few chests, playing new content as it comes out. I'm happy and enjoy playing Genshin, even if it is just for like the 10 minutes a day I actually get to play it. Like, I would absolutely never want to like do what every Genshin streamer does and figure out how the fuck to stretch that 15 minutes into like 5 hours. Fuck that.
Yeah.
God no. But
and that's another problem.
Doing my commissions, burning my resin every day, kind of like actively deciding to be free to play from now on, other than like welcome pass and whatnot.
Yeah.
So like, me just like actually having to manage my resin, not spending on refreshes, deciding, okay, which character do I want to bring to Ascension 6 or Ascension 6 next, right? Like, which character do I want to invest a bit more in next, just to kind of fuck around with that team comp and whatnot, like that kind of stuff. I'm enjoying that.
Right.
But that's me personally. And that also doesn't necessarily have anything to do with, like, that also doesn't necessarily mean I'll enjoy making Genshin content for the YouTube channel. It just, personally, I still enjoy playing it, and so I'll play it, but that doesn't mean I have to make content about it.
Yeah. Well, and I tried doing that. I tried doing, like, every 4 weeks when we get a new patch or something, just going in and playing the game, and then playing something else while there's nothing else to do, and just playing it for the absolute minimum amount of time that I need to, which was I log in for 10 minutes, do my 4 dungeon runs, and then hop off and do something else, and it just it wasn't
enjoying it,
being received well. So I was like, okay, well then why even do it? Just fine, I'll just stop.
Yeah, totally fair. And like I said, I'm not doing this for content's sake anymore. I am enjoying the little bit I get to play, and I'm even more so now because like now I have a reason to upgrade my characters. When I did the 222 or the 444 run with Sucrose and Fischl and Bennett and Jingqiu, my Fischl's still Ascension 5. She's level 70. I haven't even like capped my Fischl power yet, and I could do that. But now, like, for you were talking about how, you've talked about how, like, you're like, okay, what am I building towards? Why am I still grinding, right? Why am I still making my character stronger and everything? Why am I still trying to get better artifacts and all that? And that's a completely fair point. For me, it's like, well, okay, now I have more challenges I can do that will require me to max out my characters. Like, I could switch out my Sucrose Official team for, like, a Razor Rosaria team, but that's going to require me to bring both of them probably to A6 and, like, cap some of their important talents and stuff, right? To have the damage to do that. But that's a thing I could do. And that's a thing I can work towards. So for me, that's personally fun, you know? It's like why I initially enjoyed the Monster Hunter World Deco grind, because I was building towards those meta sets, and I could use those meta sets to try to get the fastest clear times I could on the Gigante.
Right.
I had a challenge to work towards. It wasn't necessary. It wasn't like, it's not like I needed to kill Nogagante 2,300 fucking times for the content in the game. It's because I enjoyed doing it and challenging myself to kill him faster and faster and faster.
Right. Right. No, I don't know.
But yeah, that's yay, Genshin.
Yeah. So just I guess just so I mean I guess I'm worried about just being anywhere near the community for this game. Just because it's, and I guess that's why I'm like, dude, I don't even know if we should do the podcast
in Genshin anymore.
In Genshin, and
I'm honestly fine with that. We're not doing the podcast in Genshin right now. And like, we don't even have to talk about Genshin in the podcast ever. Even if when new characters come out and we can talk about them, we don't even have to talk about them in the podcast.
Well, I mean, I don't mind. It's still interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, if like, it is an interesting game. I just, I don't feel like there's, well, I don't even feel like there's anything I can do in it right now. And
yeah, and that's fair.
I don't know. I just,
No, that's totally fair. And like, that's totally fair. I encourage you to do what makes you happy, and like, I'm willing to, and like, outwardly asking you to, if we need to set any boundaries for these things because of, you know, you not wanting to do much Genshin stuff anymore, I'm happy for it. Like, if we want to just do podcasts where you're just grinding out this shit in Final Fantasy, Fates or whatever it's called, or we, you know, play a different game in the background, or we just chats on, like, we chat over
I still
bullshit.
want to buy you a VR headset.
And see, like, I wouldn't be against that if not for the fact that it's so expensive, and I'm already so worried about your, like, monetary situation.
Look, we ask the YouTube community. We ask you if we will put together the drive. We'll like do like a subathon kind of thing, or something like that.
Look, if we can GoFundMe it or something, then sure, whatever. But like, I don't feel comfortable accepting you using your money to get me a VR headset, and I'm gonna be frank, financially, I'm not gonna put down for a VR headset right now.
No, it's like we'll do like we'll do like a what, like I don't know what to call it, but like a subathon kind of thing where you and I sit and chat, and then we just like raise money for it, and like if you like, oh, somebody does $50, you'll draw them a thing real quick, or like if somebody does $50, I'll play them a song, or you know, and we'll just get money towards the VR headsets.
Yeah.
And you and I can we can do VR chat, and we can do our debut as VTuber.
Lol. I mean, like, how would a podcast of VR chat even work? Would we need like a private room in VR or something to do it? Because I don't think we could get a good podcast out if we had a bunch of randos in VR chat hanging around us and saying random shit all the goddamn time.
I'm pretty sure there's some kind of
like private room function or something. Chat room function. Yeah.
Because
that we could use. Oh, speaking of which, so like Jenny and I are going in the week after next. We're going to Chicago for my stepsister's gay wedding.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be there for 4 days, and so we were looking up stuff to do in Chicago because we have never had an out of state vacation together. So we're like, let's go find some stuff we want to do together. Yes, I got my last puffer fish. It's over. Anyway, sorry. Ikaza. But I was looking up. I was like, nerdy shit to do in Chicago on Google.
Yeah.
And like most of the stuff's like, they have like, a weeb store, they have a comic book store, there's like an arcade bar, blah blah blah, whatever. And then I found the one. I was like, Jenny, this is my activity when we go up there. There is like a full VR deathmatch warehouse in Chicago, where like they hook you up with VR, and it's basically like laser tag in VR with machine guns and rocket launchers and shit. It's a giant warehouse space where you just put on VR gear and deathmatch each other inside of the warehouse, and it sounds fucking great, and I can't wait to do it.
Well, I mean, if I were to make suggestions, Shed's Aquarium's a great. I've been.
Yeah,
there
I was
times.
actually planning on asking you as well. I've been thinking about like, who am I gonna ask about Chicago recommendations, and it was like you and some of my coworkers, because I have coworkers who have like worked in Chicago and know the good restaurants and bars and shit.
Yeah. Shed's Aquarium is amazing. Actually, it's a really top tier aquarium.
Yeah.
Navy Pier's fun to just go to. I mean,
Navy Pier.
Navy Pier. It's just a nice place to go to. And there's a Geno's near Navy Pier. I think Geno's East. Or no, Geno's. Yeah, it's just Geno's. But like,
what is in your opinion the best place to get a Chicago hot dog? Because that's something Jenny wants to do while we're out there.
Then go to Navy Pier, because you're gonna get like a hot dog stand, like a proper out of the cart stale hot dog one.
Gotcha.
But like it was like, if you go to New York and you want a New York hot dog, you don't go to New York
to a fucking restaurant for it.
You don't go to a restaurant. You go to some hot dog stand run by a sweaty guy who's got big hairy arms, and he's like
damage all over his face.
Right. And like and then you get a greasy hot dog. Yeah, like that's what you do. So yeah. Navy Pier would probably be your best place for a hot dog.
Good to know.
There's also a really good museum there. Right across the street from the football stadium. I cannot remember what the name is off the top of my head, but it's like
I saw it on the lists when I was looking at lists of stuff. I think I know which one you're talking about.
Yeah.
If it's like the famous one.
Yeah. So I mean, there's just a couple of. I mean, those are the standard things. I think those are like the bog standard things, but
yeah,
you know.
If you think of any other things that even if you don't necessarily know if they'll sound interesting to me, they might be interesting to Jenny. So just like DM me if you think of anything else.
Is Jenny into like bands like Paramore and stuff?
We both kind of are, but
well,
not, like...
I mean, you might be able to take a tour of I think it's the Fueled by Ramen, but basically, like obviously Fall Out Boy and Paramore and all those bands are from Chicago, so you know there's like a history of grunge museum in Seattle. Maybe I haven't looked into it, but there might be like a history of emo pop in Chicago.
I'm just sending you DMs of these things to remind myself about them later.
I use your DM. Well, you've seen. I've used.
Yeah, we both use our DMs as like a note keeping space.
Yeah. But I guess touching quickly on Final Fantasy, that is a call out to anybody. If you're in Brynhildr, Crystal, feel free to join. We have a FC called the Handholders, HH. Certainly has no reference to other infamous or famous things that are also HH. Certainly wasn't intentional. I never would have. But
lol.
But yeah, no, it's an FC, and I plan on doing like little giveaways for anybody who joins and stuff. And we were supposed to do a cruise amount basically last week, but then I remembered that I took like a break off of Final Fantasy last week. I forgot I was gonna just take a break after the
Lol.
Stormblood expansion, and yeah, so I'm think I'm just gonna do it like as an open giveaway for anybody instead of just the guild, because I mean I appreciate anybody who joined, but like we have like 4 people, so
Yep.
not that many people join, so I'll probably just open it up to anybody. But Final Fantasy though, really good story, surprisingly so. Especially this last expansion, Shadowbringers, which I really like because it is not a story about a hero and a villain. It is a story about 2 heroes with opposing goals and methods.
Ooh, interesting.
Yes, they're both doing the right thing from their perspective.
Hero of their own story, sort of thing.
Yeah. The winner. There will be a winner, and then the villain will be decided by the winner.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
History written by the victors and whatnot.
Yeah. So pretty good. But I can definitely tell that because I didn't write a thing this week, that it's a little
more
rambly.
meandery. Yeah.
It's a little more
I mean,
rambly.
I honestly kind of expected like the whole Genshin thing to kind of take up, the entire podcast basically. But we kind of burned through it in like a little over an hour. So
oh hell, I'd say we burned it at like in 20-30 minutes, and we just kind of rambled on it for a minute.
Yeah, fair.
But hey, I mean that's like a normal Genshin podcast. We talk about Genshin for the first hour, and then
true.
Dude, the thing I want to talk to you about is one of the characters from Always Sunny in Philadelphia is gonna be in the new Mario movie.
I saw Charlie Day.
Charlie
is gonna
Day.
be Luigi,
and now,
that's amazing. And I'm kind of pissed that Wario isn't in the movie, and that Danny DeVito
should be Wario. Yeah,
he would be such a perfect Wario.
Yeah, and then with the best part now is like if you look up Charlie Day as Luigi on YouTube, it is nothing but like CGI recreations of Always Sunny scenes with Mario and Luigi, where Luigi's being just doing
amazing.
It's like, I got boxes full of Pepe.
Amazing. I got boxes.
Can you come over here? I want to talk to you about the mail. You want to talk about the mail? Because I want to talk about the mail. or just like him playing the piano. Like,
Yep.
Amazing. And it's really fantastic, and I hope you take a minute to just watch, like just Google Charlie Day as
I definitely will.
As Luigi.
I definitely will.
But oh my god, yeah, no, I'm so mad about that, dude. It's such a
about the Chris Pratt thing.
Well, no, just like that movie existing, it doesn't need to exist.
I mean, it's I guess I'm not really mad because it's not surprising to me, because like Nintendo saw the success that at least the monetary success Sonic the Hedgehog had, right?
Right.
Like,
why not? Sonic gonna have a movie? We need a movie.
Yep. Oh, look,
we're not playing
money.
second fiddle to Sonic the Hedgehog.
Exactly. We haven't had to compete with Sonic the Hedgehog since the fucking Dreamcast era. Or pre-Dreamcast era, because that's when Sonic lost.
Dude, Sonic never won in the first place. I don't care.
He never did, but like back in the super early days, there was at least a competition.
Yeah.
They were both like the flagship mascot characters of their 2D platformers, and there was at least a competition. Then the moment they hit 3D, the entire world realized Sonic's core gameplay loop does not translate into 3D well.
Yeah.
Mario's does.
It does.
So Mario won. Yeah. That and the Dreamcast.
Yeah. And well, there's a lot of people have been talking about Chris Pratt. I don't actually understand the issue with Chris Pratt. I don't know. I don't get it. So basically what I understand is his church that he's gone to since he was a kid donates money to right-wing people.
Yeah.
And like there's some conversions that, but like as far as I know about religions, like my grandma's still goes to church, and she goes to that church because it's her church, and that's
Yeah.
the family's church, and that's where she goes to, and that's it. It's not necessarily that she likes that church as it is now, because
It's just what's comfortable.
she will agree to me that it is like crap. Nobody shows up anymore because it's crap, and the pastor's crap, and he's also kind of an asshole, and nobody likes it, but they still go because that's the family's church.
Yeah.
And so I guess I understand from his perspective, like why he still goes to that church, because that's just the church you go to. It's fine.
Yeah, but that's an explanation, not an excuse.
No, yeah, but I was like,
it's a similar thing it's a similar thing to me of like, the racist grandma or the homophobic grandma. It's like, oh well, they're just from a different generation. It's like, but to me, that's like that says, okay, so they've existed since that generation through here, and have had this entire period of time, and have existed for the same years I have existed, where I have had to tackle with these things and had to make my opinions of it. And so they've had this entire period of time and existed during it to be able to review and change their viewpoints, but haven't. It explains why they have these viewpoints, but it doesn't excuse it to me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I guess it's kind of a similar thing. It's like, yeah, I get that there's a reason why Chris Pratt may be sticking with this church, because it's his church. It's what he grew up with. It's what he's used to, yada, yada. That doesn't excuse him continuing to support it, though, even if he's only doing so out of willful ignorance.
Right. But it's like, I guess I've been trying to figure out what exactly has he done specifically.
Oh yeah, sure.
And as far as I can tell, like he's donated to LGBT causes. He's done all sorts of things. It's just the only thing that I can see that he's done is that he's gone to this church. And there was even a thing about like how his brother's a cop, but that has nothing to do with him.
Yeah.
And
That's not something your family's views and actions aren't something you can control. How much you condone them is a thing.
Right.
Cough, cough, Nicki Minaj. But like, there is a like you can't change your family, either who they are, like having them, or who they are.
Sounded like Brave. I don't know if you've ever seen Disney's Brave. It's just, you cannot change your fate.
Lol.
But it's I don't know. I guess that was just me trying to figure out why the hell everybody hates Chris Pratt. But
I don't know.
If there was
I've heard
something
lots
that
of
he's done,
different
like
stupid
absolutely
reasons
let me
for it.
know. But
Yeah.
I didn't.
I think it's just people are pissed that like he's, because what's it, the Marvel movies and shit like that, he's like perceived as such like a mainstream boy, and people are pissed that he's leading a video game movie when he's such like a normie, I guess. Maybe, I don't fucking know. That's the only thing I can think of.
Well, I know people were mad that he was no people were mad specifically because it was Chris Pratt. But also there were other people that were mad that there's been one guy who's voiced Mario since his inception.
Yeah, I've heard about that one too. To be fair though, that guy, we don't know how his job is different. I actually listened to a slightly something else about this topic earlier this week, where they were kind of talking about it, and like I kind of agree with them that like just because the guy is incredibly good, I forget his name, but the guy who voiced Mario is incredibly good at voicing Mario, which means that he's very good at voicing like intense emotional inflections to convey reactions to and provide feedback of what's happening in the game, right?
Right.
That doesn't necessarily mean he's a good full-feature script-written voice actor.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean he can convey the same kind of emotional power you need behind like that kind of like animation, that like animated movie or TV show voice acting, where you have to convey the complexities of the script writing. He's not necessarily proven in that.
You know who is?
Who?
Danny DeVito.
True. True.
Danny DeVito is Wario.
True. 100% exactly. But I'm not saying that as in like he could never do that. it's not proven. We don't know he could, right? We don't know that he would necessarily be able to give like the same level of performance in that different kind of voice acting.
Right.
So it's not too surprising to me that he would have gone looked over as a choice. We know Chris Pratt can deliver like emotionally accurate lines that have been written, or scripts that have been written.
Yeah.
He's a professional. Like, we don't know that the other guy has the professional level to do that.
Yeah. I think his name's like
yeah.
Iliard. I want to say there's. Can't remember the name of it. But. Well. Okay, have we ever seen Mario actually plumb? Like, do manual labor? I don't know. I guess I've never seen the Charles Martinet. Oh my god, I completely got it wrong. Who was I thinking that had the name Iliard? Completely wrong. Wow, that was way off base.
Very off, but it's okay. But yeah, what was I gonna say next about that? Oh yeah, that reminds me a bit of like an argument I've heard about it too. It's like, oh, he's not an Italian American, and like, yes, Mario, the extremely representative, not in any way problematic representation of Italian Americans. Yes.
Oh, yeah. Are they gonna do fake Italian accents?
I really hope not.
It's gonna be weird.
One of the suggestions that I think Yahtzee made in the podcast I listened to about it, by something else, was that like he hopes, or one of the two hosts hopes that they do it as like a little like nod to the fans at the very beginning or something, and then just go like straight face normal afterwards. Like maybe Mario looks in the mirror in like the beginning of the movie and goes, "It's a me, a Mario," and then afterwards he just talks normal. He just talks like an American after that.
Yeah. Well, see, that's kind of the weird thing is if you go into history, at one point Italian was very much a prejudiced class.
Oh yeah, no. They're like white privilege discussions and whatnot aside, there have been historical moments when specific like Europeans and dialects have been very heavily oppressed by other Europeans.
Yeah. Same thing with Irish.
The Irish.
The Irish need not apply.
There's also just the whole thing of like localization and whatnot. Like what's it? Like, for example, 300, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Spartans were all given Scottish accents because to like the European, because like to the primarily like American and European audience that were going to watch that movie, it conveys the like stereotypes of the Spartans better.
Mm-hmm.
It conveys like if the Athenians are like the like posh British accented people, then the Spartans are Scottish because they're more rambunctious and warriors and whatnot, and like that's an intentional localization choice to make because like one, we don't know what a historical like Spartan Greek accent is, and two, it wouldn't translate properly in terms of what it's supposed to convey about the cultures. And so like similarly, I just wouldn't be surprised if they just had like a flat normal American accent for all of the characters in Mario, because they're not supposed to be contextually viewed as like in any way foreign or have any of the kind of what's the word I'm thinking of here? Any of the kind of context or like stereotypes that the American audience would apply to someone with that kind of a thick Italian accent.
How is he an Italian plumber?
Because Miyamoto is a madman.
When he exists in a world that doesn't have Italy.
Because Miyamoto's a madman. And also because Mario was originally an Italian plumber who saved his girlfriend from Donkey Kong.
Right, yeah, Pauline.
And the Donkey Kong universe is not as far as I'm aware, it's not canonically supposed to be the Mushroom Kingdom. So like the Mushroom Kingdom thing came
But
second.
they're gonna have Donkey Kong in this movie.
Yeah, and Donkey Kong is in the Mushroom Kingdom. It's just not canonical that the original Donkey Kong universe, or the original universe with Donkey Kong in it, was the Mushroom Kingdom.
Oh.
That's not necessarily canonical, as far as I'm aware. I'm not exactly like a historian on fucking Nintendo lore, but as far as I'm aware, like that there is nothing to suggest that that is the Mushroom Kingdom. So you know, who fucking knows? Mario had a bad acid trip and ended up in the Mushroom Kingdom. He went down the wrong pipe and ended up there. Fuck who knows? That it's not exactly like they have super deep lore behind the Mario universe. It's a fun mascot platformer.
Oh my god. No, so so while I was taking my week off from Final Fantasy, I played some other random games.
Yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima is probably
You've been loving that shit.
Ghost of Tsushima is probably the best video game I've ever played in my life. Like my entire life.
Yeah. Fair.
The writing, the story, the characters, the jokes, the drama, the combat, the cinematography. It might very well be I've just gone and said it. It's my favorite game I've ever played. So
and that's fair. It's also reminds me. It's one of those times that reminds me of like ultimately how different our tastes are.
Yeah.
Because I haven't played Ghost of Tsushima. I've heard a lot about it. I don't play Ghost of Tsushima, but like it does remind me of how different our tastes are. Because I also remember before that like Horizon Zero Dawn being one of your favorite games of all time as well. And like other discussions about stuff like that, and like just, you know, for me the whole like, oh, this is like the best story and best writing I've ever seen in the video game, for me has never and probably will never be one of these like actual like scripted written kinds of games like Ghost of Tsushima's writing and like Horizon Zero Dawn's writing, or like, you know, The Last of Us gets brought up as an example of this kind of thing a lot and whatnot. For me, it's always going to be the original Dark Souls because of how they subverted the tropes of classic gaming writing. And how they integrated the lore and the experience, which, you know, the story of the character is their experience as they go through the journey and whatnot, and how they integrated that into the player's personal experience with the game. And like that's just something to me that I don't think can ever be topped. And to me is a stronger example of like what the gaming medium can do with writing than like, you know, Horizon Zero Dawn or the Uncharted series or The Last of Us or like any of these games that just have like, you know, they have good writing, but like the writing could be done in the movie and it basically be the same shit. I mean, they're making a Netflix series based off The Last of Us, so.
Well, you and I have talked about how Dark Souls would not be a good game if you didn't struggle.
Yeah. It is an intentional design, and it's why like the idea that it should have difficulty levels is laughable. Because it's like saying that like you know, that like modern modern arts needs to have like a artist description with it so that people can understand what the interpretation is supposed to be for it or something. That like this piece of art has to sacrifice part of what makes it special so that more people can enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I don't think art has to do that.
No.
And Dark Souls is a great example of that because the difficulty is such a core part of what makes it such a good piece of art.
Well, to touch on kind of what, you know, for instance, for you, that's a great example because like if you paint a picture that's all red, you might find a different meaning in it than if I saw your picture that's all red, because red to me is a terrible color. It means terrible things. It invokes horrible memories for me because, you know, my abuser's favorite color was red and always had red, and red was just a big part of that experience.
Yeah.
And so it's bad memories. Whereas for you love red. Red's like,
I'm Chinese.
Black and red is like your favorite color combination. You love red.
Yeah, and I'm Chinese. Growing up, red had a lot of very positive connotations for me.
Yeah, so if you and I were both looking at the same picture, of a red, like a
It
lady
would
in a
probably-
red
it would
dress or
bring you-
something, and
It'd bring you distress, and it'll probably bring me comfort.
yeah, and there that aren't like, and if the artist is just like, no, this is about this, well, okay, well that just took my own artistic interpretation out of it, and that means it's less personal to me, and I don't get to make
Yeah.
that, and so it's bad. Well, not bad, but it's diminished.
Yeah,
in
it,
its
it, it
impact.
diminishes the impact, and
Because
yeah, it's
now I
just-
can just
oh
be
my
like,
God.
okay, well that's a very nice drawing, but it doesn't
sorry, I
have
was
any
fighting the
personal.
Valen, and I somehow ended up inside his hand's character model, so I was aiming a bow and literally couldn't see anything.
Mhm.
Like there was no Dvalin, and it was weird.
And just to
Sorry,
go back
yeah.
onto the challenge of Dark Souls and stuff like that, and the difficulty settings. So for me, I don't care about Genshin's story. It's
Yeah.
whatever. It's actually kind of trash sometimes.
It's like I've said before, I don't care about the story and the plot. It's your standard like anime fight of the gods, blah 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 journey bullshit.
Yeah.
I like the writing. I like the writing of the characters' lines specifically. I like the characters' designs, and I like the characters' interactions. That's what I
but
enjoy about Genshin writing.
I enjoyed a little bit of the challenge, but now the game cannot be challenging anymore.
Yeah.
And I could start a new account, but then I'd lose everything I had, and that just sounds bad too.
Yeah. Fair.
If I'd made a new free to play account from day one, maybe that'd be different. But there's so much crap I'm missing out on. Just for instance, I wouldn't have Festering Desire, which is one of the best weapons in the game.
It's a big fucking. I mean, I had other 4-star weapon options. I used Festering Desire for my 2-2 clear.
Yeah, did you see the person who was like, I kind of don't agree that Festering Desire is a good free to play because it's really powerful and was only available for people who basically started playing since day one.
Yeah, I mean, and while I get that, like, I get that, and like I said, it's not like I was saying this is a free-to-play run. I was like, you can decide whether you would consider this a free-to-play level run or not, But, like, the only free-to-play weapons being craftable sounds like not fun. It just doesn't sound fun to me.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, like Lamar123 brought up, I'm actually enjoying like the current festival event quest line writing they're doing. I actually enjoy this a lot.
Yeah, I've seen the Gooba
a
memes.
lot better than the Archon stuff. Yeah, the Guaba memes are fucking great. And Hu Tao comes back, and I forgot how good Hu Tao's voice actress is. Like how good a job they do. I had forgotten how good Hu Tao's voice acting is, but Jesus fucking Christ.
That was actually
I even saved some of the lines she said just to have them for posterity.
That's actually something that I've been enjoying about Final Fantasy and Ghost of Tsushima, but every time I'm sitting there and I'm like, hey, remember that this was a thing? Is like so much of Genshin's story is revolved around people. You help random people, and then they don't do anything later. It's like, oh,
Yep.
you help Hu Tao, but then she doesn't help you later. You help Zhongli, and then he fucks off. You help Venti, then he fucks off, and then all these
And
characters
they kind of
exist.
imply that you using them as character, because there are moments where they'll be like, oh, if you ever need my help, let me know, and it's kind of implied that you running around in the overworld with these characters is like them helping you out afterwards, but it's such a strong disconnect.
Yeah, but what's really nice about Final Fantasy is if you go and help some random tribe or random thing, it comes back in the story later.
Yeah,
And
'cause
you
it's not a
see them
gacha game.
help you. Or in Ghost of Tsushima, when you would go and help all these random side characters with their quests, you would get involved in it, but then they would come back.
Or Horizon Zero Dawn, when the final battle happens and all the people you've helped come and help you.
Yeah. And I guess that's what I expect from my games like that.
There's a pre-written story payoff for it, sort of thing. Yeah. I get
And
you.
it's like with Genshin, you spend all these times investing in these characters, and then they don't show up in the story. And I guess you're right. Oh well, they're helping you in the overworld. So well, that's not the same.
It's not the same. Yeah,
Like,
that's
close
a
to the
strong
same.
disc. Yeah. And I think that's just kind of part of it's a gacha game, so there's gonna be a shitload of characters and they can't really involve all of them all the time. I mean, Venti shows back up in most chapters of the Archon quest line. But like, you know, shrug. That there is going to be very little recurrence because they're constantly adding new characters and selling new characters, and they're just part of a gacha game. Is I just don't think that's ever going to be that kind of writing that you enjoy is just not something that can really happen well in a gacha game. I feel like
Yeah.
just too many characters.
So I was like, I don't know. I wonder if Genshin is the kind of game that I can even enjoy.
Yeah, and that's
fully.
totally fair. It's not if it's not a game for you, it's not a game for you. And I don't want you to feel obligated to keep playing it because I enjoy it or because of content on it or anything like that.
Yeah.
If I didn't still enjoy playing Genshin, I would have just fucking fucked off. But I do still enjoy the like 15 to 20 minutes a day I get, and I do enjoy spending an hour or like 2 to 3 hours every so often when new event stuff comes out and whatnot. And I do still enjoy seeing, like, you know, the new character interactions, like the most recent events interaction between Xiangling and Hu Tao and whatnot. I enjoy all that stuff. But, like, I don't expect you to, and I don't want you to feel obligated to either.
You get the who are you? I'm you, but better. except it's Xiangling saying that to Hu Tao.
Oof. I mean, I'm a Hu Tao simp. I love me a Hu Tao. Hu Tao's also not better than Xiangling.
Yeah.
Maybe at both C0, but definitely not if you have a C4 Xiangling. Unless you also have a Homa, but then also not if you have a Homa and Xiangling has a C6. But also not if you have, but also suddenly she's better if you have C1 and a Homa. But not if you have C1 and a Homa against C6 Xiangling in an AoE situation. I don't know. I mean, like in terms of like my simping for Hu Tao aside, Hu Tao is still only the only other like pyro carry I could ever justify from a meta or like actual like optimization standpoint pulling when Xiangling exists, because she's the only one who is separate from Bennett. That is the only good thing about her, is that she is the only pyro carry in the game that is at her best when she is separate from Bennett.
Mm-hmm.
Like, saving your Bennett is a huge fucking deal. So like, sweet. But like, she's the only one who can still compete with Xiangling when she doesn't have a Bennett on her team, and that is valuable.
Yeah.
Doesn't necessarily make her worth pulling, but it makes her valuable. Like, if you have a C4 Xiangling, there is no reason from a meta standpoint or from an team like maximizing your team's clearing ability standpoint to pull any other pyro DPS except for Hu Tao, because she doesn't necessarily need Bennett, and that can save Bennett for your other team. You can theoretically run a Bennett Melt team with a Hu Tao Jingqiu Vape team on the other side. In fact, if you have good enough rotations, you can even separate Jingqiu from Hu Tao if you have a Kazuha. So like she has the ability to lose these core units other pyro DPSs need. That means that theoretically, if you have a Kazuha, you can run like Kazuha, Hu Tao, any other pyro unit, like Jinyan / Amber, and then like any Hydra unit that isn't Jingqiu, and you can run a Hu Tao Vape team.
I was gonna say, in that case, you'd probably want to run Barbara or something.
You could run Barbara. You could also run Mona, though. Like, you have options. As long as you have a Kazuha, you can separate Jingqiu from her.
Well, I guess, are you just running healerless?
Huh? Hu Tao teams run healerless a lot, actually. Because you don't necessarily want to heal her, and she has such a massive health pool that she has a lot more forgiveness for messing up dodging.
Okay.
And then you can run,
Jinx
Xiangling
woke up
National
and
on the
said,
other
"Get good."
I mean,
we don't make guides anymore. We can tell people to get good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm doing challenge runs now, for what that's worth. But like,
hey man,
what I'm saying is that it's
your
possible,
original plan
right?
for the challenge or the channel was to just go get good. No, play how you want. Play good.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, if you decide to run the Luke decide to run the Luke without Jingcho or without Bennett, but you run the Luke Jingcho, that is not better than running a Freeze Jingcho team or a Taser Jingcho team without Bennett. Like, if without Bennett's specific synergy with the Luke, he's not better or even competitive with running Jingcho in any different team comp that is like a tier comp. What makes a Diluc Vape team competitive with those comps is that Bennett exists.
Yeah.
And so, like, Hu Tao being able to separate herself from Bennett is a pretty big deal. Like, it is a pretty big deal. Like, being able to run Bennett on the Geo Swap team on the other team, or on the Bennett Melt team, a Jingcho-less Bennett Melt team on the other team, or whatever, is valuable. And that's or like, you know, you could even run Bennett as like on like a reverse melt team like you do with Jiangling, Bennett, Kaya, and Rosario Chongyun on the other team, because Hu Tao has separated your need to have your Jingcho and your Bennett on the same team.
Yeah.
That is valuable, but not necessarily worth pulling. Same thing with Ganyu. That's why that's part of the reason why Ganyu is so goddamn good outside of just being goddamn good. Like, even just pure her numbers are better than most other people's in general. Ganyu also never needs a Bennett and doesn't need a Jingcho. Like, Ganyu doesn't need any of the classically like, oh god, which team do I put them on, supports on her team to have a competitive top tier DPS team for single target and AoE.
Yeah.
She just has to shoot things and have a shield so she doesn't get interrupted shooting things. You don't even need freeze. You don't even need freeze or melt for her to be competitive. You just need 2 cryo and a shield.
Which can mean Diona, so you have that in 2 characters.
On top of that, Ganyu's the only character in the game where, or the only like carry in the game, other than I guess arguably like Vape / Melt Bennett, where her best 4-star weapon is a craftable. Like, her best 4-star weapon is a fucking prototype crescent.
Well, that's good or bad depending on who you are in your prototype luck, but
I mean, you get 1 guaranteed regardless. So as long as you didn't burn it you didn't burn the 1 free one you get from story on a compound bow, like, you can get her best 4-star weapon. That is like competitive with like every 5-star weapon except for Amos bow.
Which I think they give you another one. They give you 2, I think.
Yeah, I think they give you 2 of each in story. I don't remember. It's been a fucking year.
And then you can obviously pick your own
From the event thing, yeah.
So that's 3.
And the fact that it's so strong for her at R1 is a big deal too. Like, Iron Sting is really good for Bennett, but you really want Constellations for it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, those factors are what make Ganyu so strong. It's not just like, oh, is Ganyu better than a Diluc Vape team in total DPS potential? I don't know, maybe. It depends on the comp, and depends on your artifacts, and depends on the content. But the fact that she doesn't need Jingqiu or Bennett is fucking massive.
Yeah. And see, I like talking about Genshin from like a
theoretical standpoints. Just participating in the community and the actual game itself.
Yeah. And I mean, and who knows what like it would be like if I didn't, you know, have to engage with the community. You know, if I could just exist outside of it or stream outside of it, you know, like only old players are allowed. Only my core audience is allowed to watch me. You know, the 50 people that'll watch me play anything. You know, everybody else, get out. Like,
get out. Lol. How to commit stream suicide.
Yeah. No, but it's like, you know, if I stream Genshin, I mean, it should be like 100, 150 people will come in, and it's like, oh, okay.
What am I burning my condensed on today? Because I know today's got like a bunch of stuff I want to like farm. Let's see. I've got official books. I also got Great Fortune today, so I did my weekly. But I got condensed to burn. Fuck you. Anyway. Let's see.
I thought you were a man of science and evidence.
I'm a man of science, and game mechanics are science, and there's the possibility it works. I'm not saying that I guarantee it works. I'm saying the possibility exists, so why the fuck not try to abuse the system?
No, see, now you need to do like 4 weeks of not doing it on that day so that
Lol.
you can test the
Not enough data still.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No, no, see, the
yeah,
thing
it'd
you
have to
gotta
be like an
understand, Tuner,
entire
I'm not
year.
trying to prove it exists. I'm just trying to leverage the possibility it exists to my favor.
You would have to do like 2 years worth of not doing it, and then
That
2
still
years.
wouldn't be enough.
I mean,
That's
you
a
would-
50 sample size. That is not big enough.
2 years? That's 100.
No, 50 of each. There's a 50 sample size in each.
No, I
in
said
each
2
pool.
years of doing it, and then 2 years of not doing it.
Oh,
So it's
that's still
100.
only 100. That's still not statistically significant.
I mean, it's at least something. I mean,
It's
well,
something.
it would
but
have to be like
see,
the data.
But the fact is, like, even that wouldn't
Wait,
be
has-
statistically significant, which is
Hold
why
on,
I'm
hold
not
on,
trying to prove it works.
has the data gathering hub done anything?
Huh?
Has the data gathering hub done anything?
Yeah, it's entirely possible they have. I haven't looked into it.
Should check.
Regardless, like I was saying, I'm not trying to prove it works. I'm simply trying to leverage the possibility to my advantage.
Is that why you check your horoscope every day?
Huh? No. 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 Fuck you. Anyway,
Is that why you checked Jenny's star sign before you married her?
fuck you. No.
You're saying fuck you because you know that's exactly what this says.
I know it's a good comparison. Fuck you. Fuck are you?
Do you know your moon sign too, Jinx?
Fuck you. I hate that you're right. Anyway.
Yeah, pretty much, Draco.
Sip your fucking tea.
Yeah, I'm sipping my tea. I'm sipping my water. I don't have tea. I don't drink tea. I've never had tea.
Sip your water in your teacup.
I sip it in a water bottle.
What are we at now? We're at like an hour 40. That's probably a good length for the podcast, right?
Jinx just wants to leave because I'm grilling him.
I have been defeated. Time to exit stage right.
Oh my god.
LOL. I feel like there was something else I wanted to talk about too.
I told you need to write.
Oh, have you seen how absurd this new Abyss Blessing is? It's literally the best one we've ever gotten.
Yeah, you said 8K every second.
Yeah, 8k AoE physical DPS every second if you play it right. It's like, holy fuck, it's disgusting. Ugh.
No,
like it.
I told you, like every week, what I want you to do is just, if you think about something interesting, just write it down or text, like send it to me in a DM on Discord, and we'll add it to the weekly podcast thing.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I should do that more.
You know, it's like, oh, I saw a neat bird. Send it to me. I saw it. And we'll like, oh, Jinx saw a neat bird. It's like, it doesn't have to be exceptionally interesting or anything. It could just be some random bullshit thing. You know, it's
Yeah.
like, because I wanted
I'm
to
very
talk.
good at tangenting off of single topics, so.
You know, and honestly, like, speaking of really neat birds and neat animals, hey, have you seen the new trailer for the expansion for Rise?
I have not actually. I've just seen it all over fucking Twitter. And like I said, I'll play Sunbreak if there's fucking cross save. I probably won't otherwise.
And then also that Rise is coming out on PC and Switch at the same time.
Yeah. Actually, even if there's not cross save, I might just like download a PC save. So like, I probably still I'm gonna play Sunbreak just because I don't have to do the high rank grind again.
I mean, I don't even mind for me personally because I
just
didn't
don't have the time for it.
Well, I didn't high rank grind. I never even fought any of the Elder Dragons. So
Oh no, I just mean like even the high rank grind of like getting the, because I stopped playing before they released any patches. So like I haven't played any of the shit past like the initial final boss.
yeah.
I just mean even the initial grind of getting your like getting like your, even without charms, your end game like high rank set together so you can tackle master rank content. I don't even want to do that again. By the way, I found out last night that apparently Rise has less iframes than World, which makes a lot of sense to me.
Oh, does it?
Yeah. They dropped from 6 at 30 to 4 at 30, which is apparently more in line with the old Monster Hunter games. World had more iframes.
Huh. You know, I swear to God, dude, I said up and down. It's like that Rise has less iframes or there's input lag or something because I knew shit that I was dodging and World would have been working, but I
Yeah.
guess I was right.
Yep. I mean, there's also probably input lag. It still felt like the worst to me at least, but
Yeah.
and I'm also a Switch X player, so yeah, and apparently Genshin has 10, which is a lot less than I thought it had. I saw some posted the KQM testing results showing that it has plus or minus 1 or 2 like 20 at 30.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a lot less than I thought it had because Dark Souls has 16 at 30.
So you're
And
saying
Genshin
is
felt-
harder than Dark Souls?
Well, dodging in Genshin's harder than Dark Souls, yes. Which surprised me because it honestly felt like there was more compared to Dark Souls.
It's actually not harder to dodge because you can cancel any attack with a dodge
Yeah,
in Genshin,
I think that's
whereas
the
like
big part of it, of why it felt so much easier in Genshin.
yeah.
Than like in Dark Souls, even though they have more iframes in Dark Souls, is because you can just cancel.
Yeah, you can
like you
cancel nearly anything with a dodge in Genshin, so you never have to commit at any point ever.
Yeah,
Whereas in
is,
Dark Souls, if you swing
huge.
your
It's just,
UGS,
that's so fucking massive.
if you swing your UGS, good luck dodging in the next 3 seconds.
Yeah, basically. That's why I like strength builds so much. It's a fun challenge to have to really consider your animation commitments. Man, I wonder if that has anything to do with why I like Switch Axe.
And see, there's a new game that just came out that I actually wanted to see. It's a shame that we like didn't. I don't know. I kind of wanted to talk a bit more about the community stuff, but I had so much more shit I actually wanted to talk to you about. Like New World came out.
Yeah, my friends Alex has been playing it, and I've seen it's kind of the big thing on Twitch right now.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's like perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but it is.
Isn't that the one made by Amazon Gaming that everyone was like, "Is this one gonna flop too?"
Yeah. I mean, you know, kind of what I want to do right now is like we're for anybody who wants to join, it's like the server's like 2.0 Lena or 2.0 Nella or something. TUO. If you see the TUO, that's what we're on. And I kind of want to like roll up in a goon squad because they incentivize PvP by giving you double rewards if you have PvP enabled. Basically.
Ah, okay.
And
just want to roll around with a stream goon squad.
yeah, and we'll see. What I did is there's factions, right? So there's faction PvP. They have 3 different factions. There's like the pirates, there's the Templar, and then there's this faction that is purple.
Yeah.
They wear dark robes, and their thing is how they are only in the pursuit of intelligence, and everybody else is just barbarians, and they don't understand. And if only they would just talk to me, they would see how smart and funny I am. And it's totally the edgy loser boy fucking thing.
That's amazing.
And everybody joined it. It is so at least on my
That's
server,
hilarious.
it is so significantly onto the the edgy purple boys. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna join the Templar, and because they're the Sun Bros.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna bonk the horny, and I want to roll around in a freaking Sunbro death squad, and every time somebody tries to come up in PvP, we're just gonna goon stomp them, and it's great. And so I've been trying.
Fantastic.
So like everybody who's was watching us play it that day, we all decided we were gonna join the same server, and even though it might not be aesthetically the coolest, we were all gonna be Sunbros.
Yeah.
Just gonna.
That sounds great.
Yeah. And,
yeah, I briefly dipped into Mendo's stream for a little bit while I was like waiting on you to respond to me being like, okay, I'm ready for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I briefly heard him like complaining because like New was like what, day 2 or something at this point.
Yeah.
And with the whole PvP enabled thing, there are people who already are at like level 60 because they macroed overnight.
Yeah.
So like it's just like a nightmare right now for like the people who didn't do that.
Yeah. For T-Bro, yes. Yeah, they're like the Vanu from from planet side, but that's as far as the things go. Otherwise, they're like the green team is marauders and thieves. Basically, they're just they describe it best. They're pirates, but on land. And then,
Gotcha.
like I said, the yellow team, they're like Templar who are there to cleanse all the heretics and all of the, all of the. They're the bonk, the horny. And
Lol.
yeah, it's I don't know. It's just it's fun. Your level is not attached to your weapon. So as you level, if you
Ah.
decide suddenly, okay, you know what, screw it, I'm tired of sword and shield, you can swap
Right.
into big hammer, and you don't have to
And
make a
it's
new character or level up a new
nice.
character or anything.
Nice.
And
That's
so
really
you'll
cool.
have all of your stats. Like I'm sure it costs money after a certain point. I don't know, like real life money or gold money. I'm sub level 20 right now, which means all my
Right.
respecs are free. But which is actually really cool because level 20 takes a long time. And so they let you just mess around until you're level 20, which is neat. But
Yeah.
yeah, so you can like, okay, well, I'm done with sword and shield. You can swap everything over, change all your stats over into strength, go and wield a giant hammer, and then you would have to level up the hammer. But
Yeah.
at the very least, your stat distribution can be changed on your character, and
Neat.
change your weapon at any point.
Yeah, that was one of the things I did like a lot about Dark Souls 2 specifically, was that they gave you so many character rerolls per run that you didn't have to like clear a fresh run to like get more character rerolls out. So like if I wanted to, so like I gotta fuck around with a lot of different PvP builds just because I could respec so easily.
Mm-hmm.
And like, I mean, Dark Souls 2 is probably my least favorite for many other reasons, but I really enjoy that aspect of it.
You might actually enjoy the game because they have tree. Each weapon has a tree. There's 2 trees. And it's a lot like the Borderlands system where you can't get everything in both trees, and there are like peak skills.
Yeah.
And then you
So
can,
like your choices on that matter.
right. And like for instance, I'm doing rapier, and I have this thing set up where like basically I use an ability, and that ability has a 6-second cooldown, but every time I attack afterwards, it reduces the cooldown by 30%. And in that ability's use, I have iframes, and then it also in like while I'm attacking, or if I attack during that ability, I get increased attack speed while that ability's going, so I can get faster procs of my auto attacks to reduce the cooldown. And essentially, I just Q auto Q auto Q auto, and I have like a 1 second Q duration while I'm attacking something. But the opposite side of that tree, like the other tree, is a bleed build.
Ooh.
Where you basically just throw a bleed on somebody and you watch as their health
You
drains.
laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the most fun PvP builds I ever ran. Was a dual whip bleed build
Mm-hmm.
on Dark Souls 3 on Dark Souls 2. That was a fun time.
Yeah.
That was a fun time.
And then for like I'm trying to think what other weapons. I haven't looked at everything, but they have like a great hammer and a
Sure.
spear, and like the spear has a tree where you can throw the spear, or you have a tree in the spear where you basically are Zinzhao or Jinzhao.
Yeah.
Zinzhao? Jin
Jinjiao?
Jinzhao.
Man,
I can't remember.
I am bad at being
XZ.
Chinese.
XZ.
Yeah. I am bad at being Chinese. Anyway.
Zinzhao. I don't remember. But either way, where you basically you dash to them and you get all up in their face, and you get
Yeah.
extra crit from light attacks, and then the other ones like you throw spears, and if you hit them in the head. And that's another thing. You actually have contextual aiming. So like bows, you get guaranteed crits on the head. And there's like bow builds where you kite really well, and then there's like long range bow builds and stuff like that. And like it's all really interesting. And then also the really cool thing is your character has 2 weapons at a time. So you can run like a bow or magic
Yeah.
for ranged, and then swap into like a great hammer if you want.
Yeah.
To deal with things that are close. And I don't know. It's got really interesting combat. I actually really do think it's interesting. And I haven't looked much into the PvP meta. What's super good right now, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you might enjoy it.
Probably. Just MMOs. Bleh.
Yeah. But I mean, it's like less of an MMO and more like you and I could just dick around and just bop people.
Fair. Perhaps. I don't know. I'm definitely having to like figure out what games I want to play with my very limited time, especially because I'm looking at, getting certifications and building up a skill set and portfolio for data analysis work, which really limits my time even more.
Yeah. So you've decided you're 100% going to go into school for that again?
I'm not going to school for it, because you don't need to. Certs and skill set are more important, but a degree definitely helps you like get past or get interviews.
Yeah.
But 4 years, but then I still also have to do the certs and the other stuff on top of that. So 4 years to have a better chance of getting on interviews doesn't seem worth it. Especially since I know industry people who can get me interviews. So once I'm confident I would be able to like do the interview well and move forward, I would go look into that basically.
Mm-hmm.
Plus, I have the advantage of time of even if it is a struggle for me to get those entry level interviews going, I'm still like making good money right now, and I still can just take my time until I do get an interview and an initial entry level position. So, and also just going back to school isn't really realistic for me because I'm still gonna have to be working close to full time while doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's not needed for me to pursue this career path, which it isn't, I'd rather not. And try to focus on, even if it is a more difficult path, the alternative path to it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's 2 o'clock, so I gotta go get ready for work.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a good podcast.
We
Talked about a lot of bullshit.
Talked about a lot of bullshit. Probably just do this Final Fantasy stuff for the background for future podcasts now.
Maybe. We'll see what everybody says.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean,
we see.
It can't be any less or more interesting than just
watching us mine shit in Genshin with the same characters every week.
Yeah. Not even like changing up new paths or using new characters. It's just the same shit. Oh god.
Oh yup.
No, see what we need to do. We need to get VR headsets.
Yup.
So if you really want us to do VR chat,
lol,
come over to the stream, and we'll do a subathon. We'll get
lol
VR headsets. I don't know. Whatever.
One of my biggest fears with VR is that like, what if we get the headsets and then like even after trying to like adjust to it, I just can't handle the motion sickness. That's like one of my biggest fears with it because I do struggle with like dizziness and like neurological issues. So I'm like, but what if I can't ever adjust and I will always just have motion sickness in VR?
Well, then you return them.
I know there's an adjustment period for most people, so like it gets better. But what if it never actually gets better enough for me?
Could probably just return them.
Yeah, fair. That's true.
I'm sure there's some kind of return policy. Be like, yeah, I am physically ill. There's nothing.
Yeah, this is making me physically ill. I've been trying for months. I'm physically ill. Please take back.
All right. Well, go have fun at work.
Yep. I go do Saturday night at work.
Yeah.
Bye stream. Bye YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Thank you to the Patreons who've been helping.
Oh yeah, thank you to the patrons and thank you to Zaxton Hong, who is inevitably going to be timestamping this, I'm sure.
Yeah, he already wrote a comment that he was disappointed that it wasn't a podcast on the last video.
Lol, that's amazing.
So, all right. Have a good day, man. Have a good day, everybody.
Oh, bye.
Bye.